Welcome at the IMPAKT Festival 2022, The Curse of Smooth Operations. This year's festival has been curated by a curator and an artist that IMPAKT has been working with often and already for a long time. First, there is Erik Bunger, a Swedish artist that has been in residency at IMPAKT for several times, and we have presented several of his works in the past. And it was Erik Bunger that, together with his Spanish artist Manuel Sais, visited IMPAKT a few years ago. And at that festival, the idea for this program emerged, The Curse of Smooth Operations. Erik and Manuel came to me and asked if they could make a festival, if they could be the curators of a next IMPAKT Festival with this idea, The Curse of Smooth Operations. And already in its original format, I found it a very compelling idea to take the audience along to this question and ask, when are we happy with technology? And maybe technology is sometimes more a curse than a blessing. Several years passed and Manuel Sais decided to concentrate on his filmmaking. We were happy to find German film curator Florian Wüst willing to take over the role that Manuel Sais was having in this artistic curatorial duo, and Florian Wüst decided to join Erik Bunger, and the two of them continued developing the program further. And here we are, 2022, with a finished festival and a very strong program, and an intriguing and maybe counterintuitive question that the curators are sharing with us. And this question is, maybe the most dissatisfying technology of all is the one that works. So when are we happy with technology? Of course, technology is frustrating when it fails, when your computer is not doing what you want it to do, your smartphone isn't working. But is that the worst that can happen? What is happening when technology is getting more and more perfect? What are we losing along the way? And what informs our desires when it comes to technology? We want maybe a frictionless technology, but isn't it exactly friction that makes us human? We want all our desires to be fulfilled, but what can be more horrible and horrific than not having any desires left to fulfill? And what human qualities are we losing when technology is getting more and more perfect? Think of facial recognition, think of algorithms, think of the humanity and the human qualities that we are losing when technology is getting more and more perfect, and less decisions are left for us as humans to take. These are the questions that the curators want you to think about in a program that they have compiled and that you can see these 5 days here in Utrecht. The exhibition at IMPAKT, Center for Media Culture, combined with an additional exhibition in an empty store at the Steenweg in the main shopping area in the center of Utrecht. And of course there's the program with live events in het Huis Utrecht. You can see performances, film screenings, talks and keynotes. We hope that you will join us and that you will enjoy the program that our curators have compiled for you, and that you will join us in this discussion on the curse of smooth operations, circling around this counterintuitive question. Maybe the most dissatisfying technology of all is the one that works. So ownership, provenance, maybe also the value, because as I understand it, an NFT work constantly would show you what the current value is.
Yeah, yeah.
To me, it also seems that most NFT, well, if it's only that, let me put it that way, why do most NFT works look the same? They are digital animations. I mean, if it's about that, a sculpture could be an NFT work.
Yeah.
But the current hype, we may call it, is basically about NFT works. Most of them would be animated short films, or as part of our tour guide given by you in the world of NFT, what other works are out there. And if it's mainly at this moment these short animations, yeah, how do you see it that it brings such a specific style of work at the moment?
So in theory, an NFT could be a certificate also for a physical work. It could be a certificate for a performance. It could be a certificate for a piece of intellectual property. In practice, people view it on their phone, and then you start to work towards what works on the phone, what is native to that. And I think moving images have been undervalued by the traditional art world because they're hard to sell. But in pop culture, moving image has always had a lot of impact. And so the zeitgeist, the cultural development, is much more moving image than art history leads us to believe. The museums tend to think in book publications, which are not so moving image friendly. And then hanging screens, you have all these cables hanging down, it doesn't look so cool. But I think in our daily lives, everybody grows up with moving images. So I think moving images have just been such a big part of pop culture that I see why they are big in NFT. I've always had I always lean towards moving images for some reason. That's always where my ideas went, so I feel at home with that. The last few years I've also been going more towards still images, so I actually think the most successful NFT projects are stills, like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks. Those are quite medium specific, so they're programmed images that happen in a series, and there's a gamification of the ownership. It's not exactly my focus, but yeah, I don't have such a strong opinion on NFTs as a whole. I just see it as a tool for me. But the thing that I immediately related to was, like, I told you so. I told you digital image have value. I told you that we're all spending all our time here and we're building a collective memory, and that has value and it will be collected. So I felt very strongly. When I graduated, I started moving to different countries, and I just let go of most of my belongings because they were in the way. And I felt this category of digital nomad, there's going to be a lot of people who don't want to deal with physical objects. So we tend to think art has value because it's physical, and maybe in a few years it'll be the opposite. It's like, oh, I don't want to deal with an object that can break. I want to work with an NFT that can spread around the world and I can make backups. So maybe in a few years the idea that we attach value to physical things will seem just as silly as like having all your life savings in cash. Like, you wouldn't put your pension under a mattress. So yeah, that to me, I felt very vindicated, because I think a lot of people told me, oh, this will never work, this is stupid. And I was like, no, I think the digital has a value. So